Okay, so don't get offended. People
Okay,
who know I dig and ask really hard questions. So I'll just be like straight shooter and be very honest, okay? So
please do.
the first few times I actually heard you talk about this, it didn't resonate with me because as an investor, like as a potential investor, I was like, like the Uber, the Expedia, whatever, it's one in a billion. Like it's really hard to build. What's the chance of me investing in a company which ended up being one of them? Like I think the chance is very slim. That's number one. Number two is, I've seen so many pitches. Everybody talk about like the billions market, a unicorn, whatever. Like, uh, but none of them actually end up realizing that dream, and I lost a lot of money. So I
Of
actually
course.
don't really believe in the the market size, the how big the market size is, and et cetera, et cetera. Instead, I tend to want to know as an investor myself, as an early investor myself, like why am I taking such a big risk? Is there anything that proves to me at this stage that there are real numbers, there are real customers, there are real demands out there, and also um, you mentioned the two things I want to ask you about what you just showed. Number one is on the screen is actually Marriott. Is that real or is it just a mock-up? Number two is you mentioned you're launching this, you're launching that. How far are you into that? Like, is it super early, or do you actually have the number to prove what you're saying? Like, it's happening. So this leads me to my next few questions. Like, what's the unique model here? Like, give me really focused, like really proven numbers. And um, like why does it exist? What's the demand that you see that I frankly don't see so far? And like what's the traction so far? Like give me some proof that things are happening as how you see it, because you know this industry and I don't. I just don't see it.
Great. Well, those are all great questions. And really, it's the span of the whole presentation to answer some of these. Because, for example, the actual traction is better answered when we talk about
Right,
advertising revenues and
right,
where we are with the hotels. But I
right.
think a good place to start would be the two first things is, yeah, every startup is out there thinking of a big idea. Why are we different? What makes us different? What makes us special? And I'm going to bring that down to two facts. Both of them are, at this point, I don't think you can argue with them. One of them is the experience and the history of the team behind the company. And I'm going to take a moment to just run through what we've done before. That differentiates us.
So my biggest question out of that question is, have you guys done IPO before? To be honest, like I
Yes,
think we're here. Are you guys
that's
experiencing this industry?
exactly. So that's what we're going to answer first is, what we've done. And I'm going to take you through a couple slides again so
Yeah,
we can do some
great.
graphics. And then the second part of that is from that experience that we've had in the past, what is the strategy to achieve $1 billion exit?
Yeah. What's the
Okay.
unique model here? Like,
Unique
right?
model, and then the next question is how far along are we on that strategy? What can we prove
Great.
in terms of traction on that strategy? That would be the rest of the presentation.
Yeah.
But let me start by giving you the first two questions, which is who are we? What's our history? Why does that make us a better investment than other startups because of our experience? And then number two is from that experience, what is the strategy that we developed and that we are embarked on? And why does that give us a better opportunity to reach $1 billion exit than the next guy? So let's just start with saying, who are we? So I was one of the founding executives in a company called 2020 Technologies. We're talking about pre-1990 in that first exit. And 2020 Technologies IPO'd at 250 million on the Toronto Stock Exchange in 2004 and sold in 2017. This is after Rich and I had left for $500 million. And
You guys
so
did an IPO before.
Rich and I took it straight through up to and beyond IPO.
Okay.
And I was one of the C-suite officers at the time and had been with the company for 15 years from almost its very inception. And
Wow.
I was, equity holder in the company at the time as well. So
How do you have roughly how many multiples you guys your shareholders exited? Like, do you have a
Well, obviously it depends on when they came in, but at 250 million, we had plenty of people that had 30x on their money. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and then at 500 million, the investors that were still with the company had a much higher exit as well. So on the journey of building the first company, I had the honor of competing with my current partner, Richard Carruthers. Had so much respect for him that we actually acquired the company, and Rich became my partner and good friend. And for 5 years, we worked together. And then when I started this, Rich joined me almost immediately as a co-founder. So Rich and I have been working together for 25 years. That doesn't include the 7 years where we competed with each other as frenemies. So we're actually beautifully paired as a team. And I'm strategy and sales. And Rich I'll let you introduce yourself, Rich.
Sure. Hey, by the way, thank you, Cindy, for giving us the opportunity to speak today. Yeah, Kevin and I go way back. Yeah, I can talk about my experience. Prior to the being acquired by 2020, where Kevin was. I had started up a company really from inception, right through to the eventual acquisition. We actually had built a company that took 50% of the office furniture space planning and design and space. And we were very successful, and at the same time, we had kind of peaked, I guess. And at that point, 2020 had a strategy to expand and to take the company IPO. I understood their vision, and I thought it was a perfect fit. So, Kevin and myself, we teamed up together. Once the acquisition took place, we actually turned around and bought my competitor in the office furniture space planning space. So we owned like 95% of the industry at that time, and successfully took the company to IPO.
That's yeah. Not So this is one of the things that actually attracted me to you guys in the first place, because you guys have great hair and you guys have done it before. So to me, it's like, okay, if you guys have done it before and you have grabbed you essentially were monopoly in your niche market, then if you can replicate the strategy again, I think it's going to be a good exit. So, okay.
Well, that's it. And a little about the incredible team that we've assembled. So what's important to know about our previous exit is this. Richard and I are digital platform entrepreneurs and innovators. What we did before in our first incarnation was a digital platform in two industries combined, much smaller by a factor of 10 to the travel industry. So that's us. Now we've gathered, and this has taken many years, this advisory team and executive team at a global level has taken many years to assemble. But you're looking here is world leaders. Neil Schubert was 20 years at Marriott. 10 of those was as the vice president of guest room technology and innovation for all of Marriott globally. Marriott's the largest hotelier in the world. So this is the guy, he's globally known. He is our chief product officer. Works full-time for HCN, not a fractional advisor. And he works for 75% of his compensation is in shares, not cash. He takes a very small amount of cash. Most of it's in shares, which tells you something. If the globally known innovator in the hotel industry has chosen HCN to be the closing point of his career, you know something big is happening. On our call is Terry Donnelly. Terry, maybe you can just give a quick, I'm going to end the screen share for a second. You can just do a quick intro of your own experience in the ad industry.
Thank you, Kevin. It's a pleasure to be here. So I've got a 40-year career in the marketing and advertising world. The first 25 years of that was in consulting, strategy, M&A, talent, those kinds of things. Then I built the world's first cloud-based digital out-of-home media buying and planning platform.
Might want to just say what out of home is for the people that don't know?
Sure. Digital out of home are the billboards, the TV screens in retail stores, the digital posters in shopping malls. And we covered everything from in-store radio to Bluetooth beacons to Wi-Fi networks, all of those media platforms where ads are being served. And in fact, the first patent we got at AdCentricity was upon entering a retail establishment, you connect to the retailer's Wi-Fi and a commercial message is launched in a browser. And so you can imagine how many times a day that patent is utilized in hotels, coffee shops, retailers all over the world. It's, billions of times a day. And we were the first company to create that patent. We exited the company. I then joined a multi-billion-dollar global advertising conglomerate company called MDC Partners. It's now called Stagwell, and was there for 5 years as the chief marketing officer, managing. We had about 1,500 brands that we worked with, including global brands like Google and Samsung and AB InBev, Budweiser, Coca-Cola, et cetera, et cetera. Then after that, I ran 2 beverage companies, did an IPO with one of them. I've been a public company executive and director in 8 different public companies, Toronto Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, the Venture Exchange. So very experienced with managing IPOs myself, and as well as being a director and officer of a major global public company.
Okay, so you did IPO too. Okay, I didn't know that. Actually, to be honest, like the idea really didn't click with me until I talked to you. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is actually big. I see the money coming in.
So we're really proud to have Terry aboard. And like Neil, Terry is working for most of his compensation in shares. Once again, these are very senior people. They're working for for tomorrow, and they see the enormous potential payoff of owning our stock. So there we have that. Let me go back to a screen share. Hold on.
Right.
And
Right.
just once again show you. I'm going to take a very short little sojourn just to show you the rest of the team. Marius Anapliotis is an investor, friend, and he's our chief technology officer. He basically works under Neil. Neil drives the bus in terms of the steering wheel. He's industry facing. Marios runs our programming team, and he has developed at scale for Nokia and other major companies, large scale projects. Saw this, and he was tasked with. We completely rewrote our software during COVID, and one of the questions about our readiness for global scaling comes down to this man's work of a complete rebuild of HCN's platform ready for global scaling, which has now been deployed for almost 2 years. So it is now in commercial deployment, and it was started in 2020.
So
And as Abji, sorry?
So is he like hands-on techie? Is he a hands-on techie?
Yeah, he's a hands-on technology leader. In other words, nobody can tell him that they wrote code that he won't open the screen and look at and say, wait a second, you missed something here. So he's down. So underneath Neil, Neil would understand which language we're being written in and the processes of creating a solid platform. This is the guy that gets it done, and he manages a manager who manages the whole team. So we have one more level below him of management, and then we have a group of programmers. So that's that. So now these are our advisors and partners. Those are our C-suites, our advisors and partners. And then as Abji was the former EVP of Host Hotels, the largest hotelier in the world. Prior to that, he ran a 1,000-room hotel. And just so you understand, 1,000-room hotels are extremely rare. There's only like 15 or 20 of them in all of Hilton. So this is not the run-of-the-mill hotelier. And then he went upstream to Host, and he became the manager, EVP of the managers of all the hotels they own. Roger Miles, founder of the largest media company in the world, serving the convention and visitors bureaus. What you're going to see is our primary business model launch is going to be via the convention bureaus. Miles Media is going to then take this, at least that's the proposal. Miles Media will then take this and duplicate it to the world. Tim Harvey, the former global CIO of Hilton, globally, and prior to his unfortunate passing 2 years ago, his counterpart from Marriott, Carl Wilson, who was the former CIO of Marriott, was on our board as well. Carl was Neil Schubert's former boss, and Neil was his protege. So Carl and Tim were both on our board. Tim still is. And then in terms of our partners, also global leaders. Seth Hillstrom is the founder of the Beverage Marketing Association. If we have time today, I'll be telling you about the programs that we're doing with the beverage industry, and Seth is heading them up. And then our big, most important financial play comes from the ad industry, and Terry joined us last December and brought in Kieran Green, who was 10 years or 8 years at Google, running $1 billion part of their business. And that business was hooking up partners like ourselves to bolt into the Google universe and be able to pump ads through. So, these are global level executives. Kieran runs his own ad agency now, but prior to that, and as you're going to see, it was very difficult for us to get Google on board. It's almost a year of programming because we're doing something highly innovative. If we didn't have somebody at Google that had primary relationships inside of Google, because he worked there for so many years, we never could have gotten it done. If we didn't have Tim Harvey, we would never have gotten the Hilton approval. And now we're up at bat at Marriott, and we've got Neil Schubert getting us through there. So these titans of the industry are the ones achieving the very big milestones that no one else has achieved. And this is the fruit of many years of work and investment to build the foundations to attract this team.
Okay.
So there's the team discussion.